Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Davey Squires.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Squires Station. I'm your host, Davey Squires, and this episode is presented by Area 67 Studios here in Cuyahoga Falls. And today, the water is provided by Mike, as always. He's over there. He's doing his thing. He's making the big bucks right now. Those H2O dollars. He is stocking water. And today on the show in Cleveland, we're zooming. It's Meganne Stepka. How you doing, Meg?
Hi, Davey. I'm doing good.
What you been up to lately?
Oh, staying home. I've been doing a lot of stuff virtually, but in summary, staying home. As you know, of course, I started the virtual music festival right after the shutdowns happened in March. So we are in the 10th month of that. That's 48-hour virtual music fest. And I do still see my bandmates. So that's the one social thing I do is get together with my 3 other bandmates, and we have practice once, maybe twice a week, and then we live stream a set about once a month for that virtual fest. So at least I have that going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are still doing your thing. That's great. So, what have you guys been working on as a band? The Magnetosphere. What have you guys been cooking up?
Yeah, Meg and the Magnetosphere. Well, we have a new band member that actually, it happened right before all the quarantine stuff happened. Our bandmate Chris left, and we acquired D. DePrater. So honestly, we've been going over material that isn't necessarily new, but is new to D. So we've, gone over that dozen or 2 dozen originals, added a few covers that we maybe had played before, but so, it's kind of like having a new band with a new bandmate, but it's great. We've really, D, was a fan, a friend and a fan, as we were of theirs as a musician. So they really did know our material, but playing it and knowing it is another thing. So practice is D getting to know and feel the songs and add their spin on it. As you know, you've seen my band, the bass player and guitar player do switch throughout the set. So we have Dave Snyder, who usually primarily is on guitar, but then for maybe 30% of the material was on bass, switching back and forth with our former bandmate. So D took on that same role. So not only is it a new band member, but sometimes it's a new bass, new bass lines kind of being written or new guitar jams. And D is a phenomenal guitar player, soloist, everything there. So it's definitely, it gels, it feels right. But again, it took a little practice just to get those things down.
Yeah, that's like a match made in heaven because D's always going to the open mics too, watching you guys. So that's really cool.
Totally. And again, a true fan. I say that, again, I think of my fans usually in a local community like this as my friend. So I just say my friend, but D has quoted themselves as saying, I was the biggest fan of this band. So, they were doing a project, a duo when we first started the band, maybe 2015, 2016, and we did a few shows where Dee's band would open up for us, or we'd share the stage at different venues. So from the beginning, they've heard what we've done and us with Dee's stuff. So definitely fans, friends, and a match made in heaven.
Yeah. So how did you get started in music?
How far back shall we go? Like childhood, piano lessons in 3rd grade, growing up on MTV in the 80s, discovering my love for open mics and music in high school. I went to St. Joe's in West Park, and a 24-hour coffee shop opened up in sync with my freshman year. And my amazing, young, cool English teacher was like, hey, this woman just bought this coffee shop down the street, and they have open mic night, and that's something you kids might like. And it was kind of, not something you would expect a high school teacher to be like, go be social in this, sort of adult setting. But it was really awesome that she mentioned that. I remember my heart fluttered and my eyes lit up at the thought of oh, I'm attracted to that idea. So I remember going to this little coffee shop's open mic on Thursdays in high school, and I was terrified I had never really played. I think I got a guitar in 7th or 8th grade and sort of started playing around then. But slowly started songwriting in high school, and then started taking it as second nature, the way I express myself, in my early 20s. And I had a band back then that was called Allegory, and we did release an EP, but old physical CD. I don't even think any of it's online. Um, Self-produced, spent a lot of time in my 20s just learning the art of home production, and changed the band name to Glass Audrey, and I do have an album out by that band name from 2011. The album's called Little Waves, and that was all self-produced over the course of years. It was just really fun. It was like writing. It was like the other level of writing songs. It's like you write the songs, and then you open up an audio mixing program and just rewrite it sonically with the ways that, we kind of created a whole band sound with just two people writing the music in Glass Audrey. So that took me into, let's see, 2011, 2012. I started hosting open mics more. And let's see, I didn't start Kelly's Pub, where I know you, I think, mostly from, coming up to that open mic, Manic Monday.
Oh, yeah.
That started in 2015. So before that, I was sort of on the far west side suburbs of Cuyahoga County doing open mics where I grew up, North Olmsted on the county line of North Ridgeville. At a restaurant I worked at, I was like, hey, can I host an open mic here? And they're like, okay, I guess. And it turned out to be a great, actually, it's where I met Dave Ziggy at. So he was 15 years old. I'm a little older than you guys. He was 15 when he came to his first open mic. And I met some other people that I've stayed in touch with over the years, musicians who just happen to be further west side folks. And then, do you like this journey story? It goes on and on.
This is like a time machine right now.
And then I discovered more of the Cleveland music scene, into those mid-years of the 2010s. Started recording my own music a little more, and the band, open mic, all that really started happening in 2015, 2016. And the band Meganne the Magnetosphere, really, that was the next level for me in terms of having a team that I believed in. Sometimes it's hard to self-motivate or to reach out and have big ideas like touring, but when I had the band behind me, I'm like, we're going to do this. We're going to tour. Let's do that. We went to Denver and did a few stops on the way in 2017. We played in Nashville in 2019 in the summer, and a few other stops there as well. So doing those things with the band was really awesome. And, we recorded an EP. We have an album that's been in the works for a while, but with COVID and everything, we kind of halted that production a little bit, but we've had a single come out in the last year, and I think that's my life story. So,
Where'd you guys play in Denver?
We played at a really great spot called the Bicycle Cafe.
Okay, yeah.
You know it?
Yeah.
All right, so you been, or have you lived in Denver?
I've been there. I've visited Denver, I think, once every year for the past six years now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had never been there, so we did really like cold emailing places, and the Bicycle Cafe got back to us. Love to have you, love to pay you. We're like, okay, we were just hoping to get on a stage anywhere, but they treated it sort of like a, an entertainment gig. So we played for 2 or so hours. And as it turned out, I think our bandmates had cousins. They had cousins based in Denver. I had a friend that I used to work with at a restaurant who had relocated there. So we actually had like 5 people that we knew, in addition to the other people in the bar, show up. So we had a great time in Denver.
Yeah, there's so many cool cafes there. It's just like...
Oh, it was a great city. I mean, Nashville too. I feel like I could live in either of those cities like 2 days, and I'm like, I know this place. I mean, loved it.
Definitely. So what were you listening to growing up?
Everything. Both my parents really always had music on in the background, and always cool music. Like, I have divorced parents who both remarried, and every single one of those parents, including the step-parents, all had slightly different taste, but all good taste that all affected me. So I remember my stepmom having a Tori Amos Little Earthquakes album before I knew who she was, and then I got to high school and all the girls were listening to Tori Amos. So I was exposed to that early. My mom and stepdad would have Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. They had CDs before again, I'm dating myself here, but they had CDs before a lot of people had CDs yet. So I remember going through my stepdad's CDs and finding Aerosmith's album with Dream On, which is a cover my band does, and it's like the only song by Aerosmith I think I always forget it's Aerosmith. The song just stands on its own, but I remember listening to that in headphones like these, like stereo headphones in my my mom's basement, and just being like, what is this magic? So Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, classic rock like that. My dad played, he got the Paul Simon album, Graceland when it came out.
Yeah.
And so this like international sound of music that was, the songwriter just doing something completely different. So yeah, the spectrum of music was definitely there.
Yeah, I love Paul Simon. He's so like world music, like ooh. So, what is there a favorite topic you like to sing about, or do the ideas just come to you based on like situational or?
Yeah, both. I think, especially this year, the ideas just come to me. And over time, yeah, I think the ideas just come to me. I think it really is always a universal sense of, collective conscious. That's where I'm always at. It's like, oh, does this apply to everyone and me? And how could if everyone was listening, how could I speak to everyone? I think I'm really always trying to just help myself and others reach that point of calm and forgiveness to allow oneself to do, to create, to be whoever they know they want to be and they're supposed to be. So I think I've come to know artists struggle with that, but I didn't always know that. I thought it was me just being hard on myself or, something
Yeah,
like that. So
yeah. So this year, a lot of people like to say this year has been not the best. So I want to ask you what are some of the favorite things to come out of this year for you?
well, of course, the virtual festival that I created, which was just a immediate reaction to everything closing down. I would normally be hosting 2 open mics a week and a random pop-up event here or there, which was like an open mic style event. Um, and then on my days off, I'd go see my friends' shows. I mean, I live in or around near Lakewood, so the Winchester where I hosted open mic. I had music other nights of the week, and that's what I do. I'd go get food, even if it was just takeout, and stop in when someone I knew was playing. So I am used to consuming as well as making a lot of music and hearing local music. And so when everything shut down, I'm like, okay, well, virtual shows, I see that this is something that's going to be how we sustain our community and our spirits by being able to hear each other still. I started seeing people go live more on Facebook. I mean, I used to do the live video at open mic and be like, hey, look how much fun we're having, come to this location. But that was how we used live videos until the shutdowns. But yeah, this idea of doing like a music marathon kind of hit me a few days into the shutdowns. Like, okay, wait, we're not going out for a minute, and open mics are canceled and shows are canceled. Well, and we're all home for the most part. What if I organized this thing where people made music all around the clock for one weekend? And again, the idea really hit me because if you go on Facebook or social media at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, when I'm up in the middle of the night, and you see what people were posting, especially at the beginning. I mean, there was so much. There still is. There's so many unknown factors. So people were expressing the worry and the anxiety, and I thought, let's fill the feeds with something positive, which would be all these amazing musicians I know from hosting open mics over the years. So it was just going to be this thing I did this one weekend, and then it was such a successful event, and friends and acquaintances hopped on to help moderate the event, sharing the videos to the event page. All of a sudden I had this team behind me who was like, this was a great experience, and I'm like, well, let's do it again next month. It happened to be the last weekend of March that I did it, and so I just said, let's do it the last weekend of next month, and if we're still home in May, and the next or April and May, and okay, so it ended up being every month the last weekend since March, and now we're in the 10th edition of that. It's the best thing that could have come out of this year for me with regards to what this year dictated would be this year. So because of the festival, I was able to team up with Ingenuity Cleveland. They normally put on this huge, tens of thousands of people go to Ingenuity Fest every September in a physical space, and they weren't able to do their festival. And so I was able to team up with them and create a virtual festival and help fundraise for them as an organization. And yeah, so the festival that I do, this virtual festival, it grew into not just having performers go live and ask for tips, but also find organizations that needed support, that have supported artists in the past, as well as just other, humane causes. that we've gotten behind during this festival. So it's been incredibly satisfying and gratifying in that way, what it's grown to be.
Yeah. So do you think that these virtual festivals will have a place in a post pandemic music scene?
I sure do. I think that even post pandemic, it's not going to be a black and white switch overnight. It's going to be a gradual get back to normal, and what will normal be even still? I mean, I think for at least all of 2021, it's going to be socially distant when it does become back in the physical, less people in venues, spaced out. I think that's just a given. So, and I think if you can imagine a normal again, I do still think that the virtual festival has a place. I know that we've connected with folks who maybe once lived in Cleveland and don't anymore, and just musicians who've heard about the festival both nationally and internationally that we have hop on, which is also so amazing. So Gigmit, which is a online platform for artists to sign up and find festivals and things to play at in person, actually reached out to me at 48 Fest and said, "Hey, do you want to be on our platform for, people are looking for virtual gigs?" And, I made sure they understood, like, I can't pay artists, and we fundraise usually. And they're like, "Oh, no, that's cool." So this last month I had a woman from Italy and a few people from the UK hop on, and now I feel like they're friends, and, we're writing each other, "Hey, when the pandemic's over," she's like, "I can't wait to come to Cleveland and meet all these amazing people that she saw in the festival." And I assured her, like, "We have a stage for you when you do come to Cleveland," a woman from Italy. So yes, I think that the virtual festival is going to continue to be something that bridges a music scene globally, which is excellent.
Yeah, that's really cool because it's more convenient for musicians. Like, I know when I go to open mics, when I ask people to come with me, they're like, I'll just stay home." But now, literally, the open mic is coming to you. It's literally coming into your home. It's really cool.
Absolutely. And with technology getting, a musician, the technology was kind of there, but it's also developing along with us, and musicians are learning it like this right now. We have our microphones plugged in, we have good sound. So, I mean, that really allows for the average consumer of music to be able to appreciate it too. Because musicians, we can appreciate each other on a phone microphone, not the best quality. When Zoom was first out and I was hosting an open mic briefly on it, it was just, cutting out, and it didn't have the best sound quality. But as musicians, we certainly can still feel the spirit of music in a lo-fi, low
Yeah.
quality of sound, but it's getting so much better. And so, yeah, your average consumer of music can absolutely tune in and enjoy a show virtually.
Yeah, and it makes me pay attention to the scenery I have, when I'm playing. Like, how do I make my room look cooler? Yeah, exactly. Like,
Absolutely. And hey, I mean, as a musician, the same thing we were just talking about, though, the higher quality, it's like playing with the band in a live stream is amazing because we have headphones on, we have the entire band mic'd like we're doing a recording. I've never heard my voice so clear on a stage, ever, because you have monitors, you have the drums and the amps and everything going on the stage, and the classic feedback happening, if you're not belting. I mean, I do use my big voice, but sometimes I use my small voice, and on stage, it's hope that you can, what I mean, that you're hitting the notes and that but it's like
yeah.
with the band streaming with all that noise in the room, we put our headphones on, and it's a pleasure to play music that way, actually.
So going back to the local scene, what are some of your favorite venues to play at?
Well, of course, I'm going to say the Winchester because I hosted open mic there, and they have been a staple in the local scene here for years, even though they've changed owners a few times. It's a great place. But the Beachland Tavern also is just a staple, and I've always loved playing there. Every venue has something special going on. I could list them all, and then we would just be here for 20 minutes. But my open mic at Kelly's Pub was like my second home. It was like, let's all go hang out in my basement and play music. It wasn't necessarily a place I played a lot of shows at, but we were there every Monday, and so that was always a favorite, of course. And I do foresee, I mean, at some point, doing open mics again, but it's not going to be real soon. So that's something I certainly miss. But yeah, I think, I'll leave it there. The Beachland and the Winchester, two of my favorite places to play.
I miss the Rib Cage, those open mics.
Yeah, me too. I almost forgot about that. That was another one I did. So yeah, the songwriters around there at the rib cage was I was just looking at pictures of that and that was cool. 25th Street, the busy traffic. It felt
Yeah.
very, near downtown Cleveland. Oh, the Happy Dog. I mean, just every place had its
Yeah.
own special thing going on. I love going to the Happy Dog because I love Menan, the Vietnamese restaurant right down the street.
Hmm.
And so it's like two birds, one stone. I get to get my Menan and play at the Happy Dog.
Well, that area near the rib cage is really cool. Like that whole area, just that whole street. I don't know what street that is, but whatever street that is, that's cool.
West 25th Street.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I'm an Akronite. I don't know anything about
Oh
Cleveland.
no, I know. That's like me being like, yeah, I played at the Rialto near Akron, and I don't know what street that was. It was somewhere off the highway on the way to Akron, but
That's good
yeah,
old Kenmore Boulevard for ya.
that sounds familiar. But yeah, that's a beautiful space, and I would love to get back there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once shows come back, and I do believe that the whole live streaming aspect of it will become a bigger thing, even in live in person shows, because we have that technology now, so we can also do in person, but can also do the live streaming of it too.
Absolutely. Do you remember? I don't know if they still do this. I don't even know if the venue still exists, but on PBS they used to do the live from Austin, Texas thing, and almost like that. I mean, I could see a future where every venue offers, and I mean that was obviously free to view. It was on TV, but I could see venues being able to make charge $5 to view the show. At some point, they should honestly. And pay the artist a little bit from that, make a little money from that. But why not? We have the technology. We have sound people doing great jobs, bands doing great jobs, and yeah, so just a more interconnected, music scene and community globally.
Yeah, I should have invested in Zoom stock though. Like,
I think I did. You know how Cash App you can get stocks on Cash App?
yeah, did you?
I think I did get Zoom. I can't remember which is really bad. I was just like, this sounds good and this sounds good. I got a couple just for fun, but I've never bought stocks in my life. Do I look like someone who does stocks? No.
You're just
But Cash App, the little app on my phone, said that I could, so I got a couple of random ones.
You're just throwing money at stocks.
Oh yeah, like $5, no, like $20. I just figured, hey, the stimulus check. I figured I would do what invested in the economy,
Oh yeah, yeah, invest it back into it.
right?
I forgot to ask, or you might have mentioned it before, but when did you start playing, like learning to play piano?
So I took lessons for not even a full year in third grade, and then there was a piano in my dad's house. I mentioned my parents were divorced, so I'd see the piano on the weekends, and like I had a little keyboard at my mom's house, and I always just kind of toyed with it after those lessons. But I didn't really start writing on the piano until, I don't know, I was about 19. So I had played guitar and sort of written a few songs, in high school. But I started a band when I was like 19, and they were like, there was a guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer. And they're like, it'd be really cool if you played keys instead of that acoustic guitar, which my acoustic guitar at the time didn't even plug in, or I didn't have a pickup for it or anything. So I sort of started getting back into keys early on with that band. And then I would just come and go from it over the years. I would go months, if not years, sometimes on one or the other instrument in terms of writing. But yeah, I think ever since this last year, especially with quarantine, I've been playing this piano a lot and writing on it. But yeah, I love coming and going from both instruments. So
Yeah, this is a question solely just for me, but I'm learning guitar finally after years of not trying to learn guitar.
that's awesome.
And I was gonna ask, do you have any tips for me? Like just like basic learning things.
Everybody learns differently, and you're a fantastic piano player. I assume you're a trained piano player.
I I took a couple classes, but I'm mostly self-taught.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, yeah, I'm self-taught on both. Like I said, a year of piano as a child. I mean, very basic note reading and stuff. And then maybe not even a full year of guitar in like seventh grade. And then I was like, I don't want any of these teachers. I was a rebellious kid. So everything I consider myself to be self-taught as well. If you're comfortable with self-taught, I would say just learning chords. Because if you took a guitar class, a traditional guitar class, they usually start you on the notes and you're working your way up from the lightest strings to the heaviest ones, and it can be a little daunting. Now, because you already understand music, though, and piano, I don't really have that perspective because, it's been so long since I've played both, and I didn't have an understanding of music when I started playing guitar, really. But just learning your basic chords, I think the funnest thing to do is to think of a song you want to play, and you already know so many on piano, and just then transferring it onto guitar and going, okay, what's an E minor, what's a G major, and starting to just play it. And though your hands are going to be a little uncertain at first, I mean, the biggest thing is going to be just, yeah, the hand cramping up, the calluses, and then again, you're already good at piano doing two different things with your hands, but that aspect, of course, of, holding the chord and then getting this hand to do something different. But yeah, I think just diving right into familiar cover songs is a great way to crash course yourself on guitar because you are identifying that you're doing it right just by hearing it.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, it's interesting because like you have to do all this stuff on piano to get like a 9 chord or a 7 chord, but on guitar, it's just like a simple. You move one finger and it turns into a whole different
It's
chord.
totally strange. And how you're only really using the one hand to make the chord sounds, whereas on piano, yeah, you're using your root note over here and your melon, all these things. So I totally agree. The difference, I mean, it's like a different switch on my brain when I'm playing, the different instrument for sure. And there's such a pleasure to both, honestly. I mean, a good acoustic guitar, feeling acoustic guitar resonate against yourself is one of the most healing things in the world. I mean, I love all the sounds of a piano. I mean, there's so much here, but a simple E minor chord is probably my favorite chord on a guitar. It's just you get that low tone and the acoustic is up against you and you really do. I mean, I used to tell people, oh, if you have a stomach ache, if you're feeling anxious, like just pick up your guitar and strum something and you just feel those frequencies, as I use that word a lot in songs, but it's true. You feel them in your body. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing to play guitar. I look forward to your journey with it.
That's what I learned this week. The E minor.
There you go. That's the first one I would teach. I've given a few lessons, and I always because it's it's the easiest one. Your two fingers, a lot of open strings, and then your super basic chords. And like you said, you could start adding those sevenths and ninths pretty easily. Sometimes they do change the form almost completely, but the ones that you can like an E7, you just are going to add your pinky over there, and things like that. So yeah, starting with the super basic chords and super basic cover songs you'll be an expert in no time.
I hope. Maybe. I don't know. Don't say that.
Oh, you will. It is. I mean, the hardest thing when you're not used to it, but you're already a musician, is just like you said, like getting used to the idea that, oh, this one hand is doing this and it's staying kind of in place. Whereas on a piano, you're almost always like, moving, I think, where the guitar, it's like you're holding and then you're strumming. And it's
Yeah.
like going from stick shift to automatic or something driving.
Yeah, it definitely stretches out your hands. Like I played piano right after I was doing some guitar stuff and I was like, "Oh my god, what?" It just stretched my hands out like 200%. I'm like, "Whoa." Hand stretches. I was also going to say, you remind me a lot of Fiona Apple. Like
I like me some Fiona back in the day. I haven't listened to her recently at all, but I will take that as a great compliment.
her newest album's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh yeah, her newest album it's fire.
Won awards and stuff, I believe. I have not dove into it, which is on me, but I need to do so, perhaps.
Yeah, multiple What'd you say, Mike? So it's up for multiple Grammys.
Yeah.
So I got one more question for you.
All right.
So what are some tips you would give to any musicians just starting out?
Well, what realm of tips are we speaking? I mean, earlier on when I was talking about that song, The Sound You Know, I mean, that's a big thing, is just believe in yourself, the sound you know. If you have the passion to play music and you have this feeling that it's what you're supposed to do, it is. I mean, I think we try to define what we're supposed to do as people actually reacting to that and saying, "Oh, you're good," or I like your music." That's not what I mean by what you're supposed to do. I mean, you feel it within, you're supposed to do it then. So second guessing yourself because you don't have fans yet, or even if you do and you don't believe that they really do respect and think you're great, none of that matters. What matters is that you persist and you write what's in your heart. And I mean, songwriting as far as music and lyrics or lyrics, I mean, whatever it is that drives you, it's what you're supposed to do. So don't give up, I would say. And I don't know. I think aligning with people is so important. I mean, whether it's just having a Zoom songwriting buddy or going to an open mic again, virtually at this point, just listening to other artists and knowing that, okay, I have the ultimate tip here. Knowing that you're unique you know, listen to other artists, don't compare yourselves to them. Everybody's different. Even if someone says, you remind me of so-and-so, it's not about comparison. It's about someone else, what they hear in you, that's great. But you should never, you know, hold yourself to the standards of others. Just hold yourself to your own standard and keep pushing to be your best.
Yeah. Yeah, I met some of my best friends at open mics, so like that's so true.
But it's so hard I mean, it's so hard as a human to not compare ourselves to others. And then you take it up a level and say, as an artist or a musician, and it's like I spent years, people tell, you know, it's not a ego or a pity or a feel bad for me thing, but I mean, I spent years thinking, oh, this person is so much better. This person is pitch perfect. This person writes a song with fancy chords or this person's band is more refined. All that noise just stops us from writing the next best thing that makes us feel good. I mean, every song I write, I get elated after I write it. I am like high on joy. And that's because I just expressed some tangled thing in my spirit or my soul that needed to come out, right? Like that's what I feel like when I write a song. Like I just untangled this massive thing of words and music that was waiting to be. And so I say that because that's what it's about. And yeah, having friends and respecting other artists and being able to look at someone else, and the way we wouldn't criticize them is how we shouldn't criticize ourselves too. You know, we can always see like the beauty in someone else as an artist. We need to remember to see that in ourselves and be as kind to ourselves as we are to others. So, yes.
I like that like tingle in your spirit. That's wow.
Tangle and tingle. You said tingle, but I said tangle, but I like both now. You get a tingle from untangling.
Tangle. It's a Monday, you know.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, thank you thank you so much, Meg, for doing the Zoom.
Thank you so much for having me, Davey.
Oh,
Mike for the water.
Oh, Mike, thanks for the water. You're a real pal. You're a real pal, dude.
Yeah, I try to be.
He's a real G. So where can they find you at?
Thanks for asking. As far as social media, I am definitely most active on Facebook and Instagram. My music pages, my solo music pages on both of those sites are Meganne Stepka. And my band is Meg and the Magnetosphere. But the handle for that is Magnetosphere. And I have some albums on Bandcamp. My band's album is on iTunes and the streaming places. And I would just say Google Meg and the Magnetosphere. We're on YouTube too. Or Google my name and see what comes up. Play the random. Where does Google send you? But yeah, my band's latest single is called Tabula Rosa. That's on Bandcamp, and I have some fun stuff that's solo on my Bandcamp. So thank you.
Yeah, and check out 48 Hour Virtual Fest. That's so cool that you do that. That's really awesome.
Thank you so much. And yes, please do check out 48 Hour Virtual. It's called 48 Hour Virtual Music Fest, but it's so much more than music. We get live painters, we get dancers. And as I mentioned before, it's becoming this international festival. So if you do happen to be watching this from anywhere else in the world besides Northeast Ohio, I would really encourage you to reach out to 48 Hour Virtual Music Fest if you're a musician or an artist or a creative, expressive person of any nature, because we would love to have you participate in that. It's 48 hours straight, so there is room for everybody. 48 artists every month.
And you guys doing movies now, right?
Exactly, yeah. You know, the thing that's not ideal right now with the movies is that on Facebook you can't stream it if it has other people's music in it. So the problem with films, you know, it'll mute you, I think, if you anyway, long story long, we share YouTube links. So unfortunately movies don't act as a live stream, but we are still really happy to share short films, interviews like this even during the 48 festival, especially during the overnight hours when you don't get a lot of people who are ready to perform. But that's what I mean. All kinds of creative expression. Totally welcome. I love it.
Totally. Well, hey, you can find me on Instagram at Davey_Squires. You can also find me on Facebook, Davey Squires Music, and I also have a Patreon. Thank you all for supporting the Patreon. You can find the bloopers, the extra episode videos on there as well. That's patreon.com/Davey Squires. And you can also find me on YouTube. Just search me up, Davey Squires. You can find all the past episodes on there. And you can go onto my website, dsquires.com, for all of my other stuff. So, yeah, thank you again, Meg, for coming on.
Thank you, Davey.
And, yeah, that's the show. Spaghetti-o.